So for my latest video, I wanted to do a video about a more comprehensive list of symptoms that I have experienced over the years and that have been experienced by people who are close to me over the years. So that, and the reason why I want to do this video is because I think a lot of the times certain symptoms will, you'll think that those things couldn't possibly be caused by anxiety, that those things couldn't possibly, not have a physiological cause. And I don't want any of you out there to delay treatment for anxiety or panic disorder or even depression because you experience these physical symptoms and you are convinced that it's a physiological problem and that it couldn't be anxiety, because that was part of the delay in my treatment was, failing to realize exactly the extent of havoc that can be wreaked on the human body by stress and anxiety. So I'm going to go through some of these. Some of these will be ones I've spoken of before. Some of them are going to be fairly common, and some of them are going to be maybe even sound kind of a little strange or crazy. But I've experienced all of these, or at least most of these, and if I haven't directly experienced them, someone close to me who struggles with similar issues has. So one of the first ones that I wanted to talk about was hives and itching. And this is not something you would think could be caused necessarily by stress or anxiety, unless maybe you've watched a certain movie. There's a pretty funny scene where the guy is itching because of allegedly because of stress. But I actually saw this happen to someone I know. Something stressed them out a great deal, and they broke out into hives and were itching from it. So it actually can cause you, stress can actually cause you to get hives and to itch, which I think is something that a lot of people out there might not realize. And the other one I think is, you'll read this on a lot of the websites that have symptoms and stuff, but I want to get into a little bit of detail about it. Dizziness. Now the dizziness that I experienced when I first started having panic attacks was unlike any dizziness I'd had in my life up until then. Not only were things spinning on me and did I feel off balance, but also, it was so bad, even when I was stopped at a red light, it felt like I was still moving. The dizziness was that bad. Also, if I moved my head quickly, the dizziness was intense. And I never did find any other physiological cause for this dizziness other than anxiety. I did go I had my inner ear checked. There was some evidence that maybe at some point I had an inner ear infection that could have been contributing to this, but for the most part, it was the anxiety. Another one that I don't think gets talked about enough is muscle tightness. Now, people think, well, yeah, when you're stressed, you're tense, But see, they're thinking consciously. If you're consciously stressed, then you'll be tense. But what I'm telling you guys is that even if you're not conscious of how tense you are, even while you're sleeping, your muscles can remain so tense that you actually have residual soreness from it. And the last relapse I had in 2020, I was trying to figure out why the muscles on my inner thighs and groin were so sore out of the blue. And then I realized that pelvic floor soreness in men is very frequently caused by stress. So sure enough, when I had that relapse in 2020, even while I was sleeping, I was drawing into such a tight position that I would wake up in the morning with tightness on my inner thighs and groin. So it's, don't underestimate that maybe some muscle soreness you're having, or a stiff neck, or soreness in your trapezius muscles. Things like this are very common with people who have diagnosable anxiety. It's not a rare symptom at all, but I don't hear it spoken of enough, especially the soreness that ensues after the muscle's been tight continuously, which our muscles are meant to relax, right? Or contract and relax. Well, when you're stressed, they're not relaxing. Okay, next, your hands and feet can go numb. And this is a really strange one, because, sometimes this could be caused by our breathing patterns and stuff, but I've seen this happen. It's happened to me, and it's happened to other people I know with these health problems, these anxiety spectrum conditions, where their hands and their feet start to go numb. Now, this is really disconcerting. If you have, in one instance, I know the person's one hand went numb. So here they're thinking, oh my goodness, am I having a stroke? But no, it was a panic attack. It was the beginning of a panic attack. And, when they went to the emergency room, and they were fine. But it was a physiological symptom. I've had both hands, both feet go completely numb just from anxiety. I've had that happen to me while I'm sleeping. So I wake up like you would wake up if you laid on your arm or your leg funny and it went to sleep. I have woke up with my hands and feet feeling that way because of stress and anxiety. So that's another one I think people might not realize, that can happen to you when you're extremely stressed. Gastrointestinal symptoms is the next one I'll talk about. These are always understated, I notice, on the websites and when you do research on anxiety and panic disorder and all of the anxiety spectrum conditions. So what we're talking about is you can have anything from severe constipation, severe diarrhea, severe nausea. For me, when I first was diagnosed, or I hadn't been diagnosed yet, but when I first started having panic attacks, I had the worst heartburn that you could imagine. I wouldn't even call it heartburn. It felt like someone poured battery acid from the top of my throat to the middle of my stomach. I remember one really bad occasion. I was drinking Maalox on my way home from work because it was burning so badly. This is the kind of thing that can happen, again, when your body is in a perpetual fight or flight stress mode. When we are never intended to be in that mode for more than just a few minutes at a time to save our lives, to get us out of danger. And when you're constantly in that mode 24/7, your body's in that mode, then there's way too much stomach acid. There's your bowels actually are, muscles that contract in a certain sequence. It can throw the sequence off, hence the diarrhea or the constipation. These aren't pleasant symptoms to talk about, and I don't think they're talked about enough, quite frankly, when it comes to stress and anxiety. And when people get these symptoms, they're going to be thinking that they have, some stomach ailment, instead of realizing that this can happen at a very high level. You can be really sick from, whether all the way from your esophagus to the other end of your body when you are experiencing severe stress. And I experienced all of these. Another thing, it can affect how frequently you have to go to the bathroom as far as urinating goes. You might all of a sudden notice you're urinating, more than normal. And again, what's that gonna do? That's gonna heighten your anxiety even more. You're gonna think, oh my goodness, am I diabetic? There's something wrong with my kidneys, or whatever you might be thinking, because we do tend to be worriers, right? So that's another one that happened to me. Then there's some more strange ones that, again, if you guys out there have had anxiety untreated for a long time, you'll probably know about these types of things. But thinking you see something out of the corner of your eye and you turn and there's nothing there, that feeling that somebody's tapping you or about to tap you, and then there isn't anybody there. Again, you're in that heightened fight or flight state. So, your nervous system, your brain, it's imagining things just to try to get you out of danger that, of course, does not really exist. Trouble swallowing. There was about a year I could not eat in front of anybody because I could not swallow. I felt as though I couldn't swallow. You may feel as though you're choking. I don't hear this one talked about as much. Occasionally, I will see it listed on websites for symptoms of anxiety, but this is a real symptom. And I remember having a hard time swallowing my food. That first year or so, I was having panic attacks. It was really, and it was especially if I was around another person. So there's probably even an element of social anxiety mixed in there for me, but it was a very unpleasant sensation. Vision issues. This is one I don't see this talked about a lot. Vision issues, black spots in your vision, tunnel vision, double vision. I've had all these things happen to me with anxiety. I remember one time, again, I was probably holding my breath because that was another bad habit I got into, but it was almost like I was looking through binoculars, my vision. And other times, I've had it where it's caused me, especially in certain lighting, to have double vision. Again, this is it's a response of your body for being in fight or flight all the time, because your body tries to heighten all of your senses when you're in a life or death situation. That's how your brain intends to save you. So when you're just stuck in the on position, then it'll mess with everything. And I have noticed over the years, vision was a big thing and a very scary thing. I remember one time when I was first having these issues, I sneezed and all I saw was black spots. Now, there's an element of overreacting and being hypersensitive to stimuli, but that was really scary. I mean, you're thinking, what's going on? What's going on? Do I have a brain tumor pressing on my ocular nerves? Or you start thinking all kinds of crazy things. So vision issues. Another one, inability to sweat or sweating profusely. Either one. Your body not regulating its temperature can wreak havoc. The anxiety can wreak havoc on that. So you'll have, there'll be a time when you're literally shivering and you shouldn't be. You feel cold. You'll feel like an internal coldness and shakiness, and it won't be cold at all. And then other times, you'll feel hot, but you won't be able to sweat. This happened to me a lot that first couple of years when I was completely untreated. And, and I was heavy too. So, and I'm generally a person who sweats a lot anyways. So when I wasn't sweating at all, but I felt really hot, and here I am significantly overweight, it was very strange. But again, that was the anxiety. That's your body, your body's fight or flight being turned on, and it messes with all of your biological mechanisms. It messes with everything. As far as another big one. I apologize about the pause, but another big one is the way it affects your sleep. First of all, your dreams are going to be, at least in my case, were the strangest, craziest dreams I've ever had. It was a weird, dark twist to them that I've never had. And everybody has weird dreams, right? We laugh at them, right? Neurotypical people laugh at their crazy dreams all the time. I was getting chased by a lion, blah, 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 whatever. We all have weird dreams. But there's a dark undertone to all of your dreams when your anxiety is really bad. It's very unpleasant. It's tough to describe, other than it's like a twisted reality. And then it also messes with your sleep and awake. So you're sometimes you feel almost like you're in between. And I think that's because you're not sleeping well when you do sleep. So then even when you're awake, you don't necessarily feel all the way awake. It's just a really strange and uncomfortable feeling that you really wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. And it really does mess with you. Another thing that happened to me was sudden sleep interruptions, like waking up like this, like startled for nothing. And okay, so that happens to everybody once in a while, right? Oh, I woke up from my sleep. No, every time I started to fall asleep, I'd continuously wake up like I was falling, or like I was being, startled. And this just kept happening to me. Sometimes that would happen to me 20 times before I actually fell asleep and stayed asleep. There's a lot of symptoms that happen with anxiety that seem really strange, that they're caused by anxiety. And it would be one thing if you were like if you were always in this intense state of worry, while you're experiencing these symptoms, where it would give you a clue that maybe, this is just the anxiety. But a lot of the times I experience these symptoms, guys, a lot of the times I was not thinking about how stressed I was. I was just trying to live my life. I was just trying to, go shopping, sit around with family, whatever. And these symptoms would be happening. They'd happen out of the blue. Now, as I've told you guys in my other videos, I want you guys to know about these out-of-the-way symptoms, some of these stranger symptoms, because I want you not to feel as though, it couldn't be anxiety, I must have something wrong with me. I want people to get treatment as quickly as they can and get better as quickly as they can. And I know for about 1.5 years or 2 years, I was skeptical that the physiological symptoms I was having could possibly have been caused solely by stress. But, after going through test after test after test, I had to come to terms with the fact that it was indeed anxiety that was causing these symptoms. And if I can save you guys from that step, again, if you're having physical symptoms, go get checked out. If you have good health insurance, get everything checked. As soon as you're clear, go, don't fight it anymore. Go get treatment. Because at that point, you need to reconcile the fact that you're experiencing a mental health issue. And the sooner you acknowledge it and get it treated, the sooner you'll get back to feeling like a human being. So, I just want people to know that these symptoms can seem as though they're not, it's not possible for them to be caused strictly by anxiety, but they absolutely can. And, you know, if you're experiencing these symptoms, you're not alone. I'm sure I've missed some of the ones I've had over the years, but they have been so numerous and so strange that, you know, it's hard to keep track of them all. And some of them, I left off some of the ones where I felt as though they could actually have had somewhat of a physiological cause that was just being embellished by my anxiety. Because remember, our nervous systems become hypersensitive when we're in a state of anxiety. But anyways, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover here. You know, if you guys are experiencing severe anxiety, go seek treatment from a mental health professional. Don't put it off. Go get help. That is going to be your quickest path to recovery. Again, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel the way that you have. It's been really a great thing for me to see. Like, share, subscribe. If you know somebody that is experiencing any of these mental health issues on the anxiety spectrum, have them check out the channel. It might give them some peace of mind. It might be the impetus they need to go and seek treatment. Whatever the case, the entire reason for me doing this is so that people out there with similar issues can waste less time, feel like they're not alone, and get the treatment that they need. So again, thank you guys so much. And until my next video, take care.